What's up, Flick Connection? This is Darren, and today I want to talk to you about some movies on Netflix that will make you cry. Now, because I suffer from a condition known as not being a total the only way I can actually make myself cry is by cutting onions. So I've got a big pile of onions here. I'm going to chop them up, try to get the waterworks going as we go through this list. Alright, first one on the list is actually playing on the screen behind me, and that is The Road. Now, this one will make you cry, not for traditional reasons. It's not particularly sappy or anything like that. In fact, it's really grim. Before it makes you cry, it's going to really upset you, because it's got to be, if you know of a more bleak movie than The Road, please let us know in the comments. I'd be real curious to see if you're correct, because it is the most bleak thing I think I've ever seen. It's really, really good though. It's really well done, and it's fairly underrated. Forgive me for not looking at the camera too much. I don't want to run to the emergency room. It's Sunday night. I really don't feel like spending the evening in the emergency room. This is a very, very sharp knife. It's already getting me. If you haven't seen it, it is post-apocalyptic, but not in a way that you would typically see. Hardly anybody's got any guns. There's no zombies. It is a very, very realistic take on the apocalypse. It is based on a book by Cormac McCarthy, who also wrote No Country for Old Men and a handful of others. Man, I think I got a bunk bushel of onions. The Road, directed by John Hillcoat, who also did The Proposition before The Road, which is just an incredible Western movie. I highly recommend checking that out. But he's a really good director, and this movie is just, I think it's top notch, but it's not like anything else you've seen before. Alright, and starting to get a little good eye burn here, making it difficult to see what I'm doing, which is not good. But Atonement is another good one. It's been a long time since I've seen it. John McAvoy, Keira Knightley. It's a World War II film. Really well done. It got a lot of praise back when it came out. It's again well done, good story. It's you don't feel like you're watching something you've seen before necessarily, even though it is kind of familiar. It also feels new. If you're the least bit sensitive, this one's going to be a tearjerker. It's going to kind of surprise you in a lot of ways. If you don't traditionally like war movies, but you decided to watch this video because you're interested in movies that would make you cry, I would give this one a chance. This one might surprise you, and if you're sort of a film buff whatsoever, and maybe you avoided this one just because it looked like a sappy love story, I recommend checking it out. Not just for this one reason, but this is a good one. There is a really good onesie, a one-shot, long single shot. It takes place sort of amongst soldiers kind of gathering up after a battle, and it really, it's impressive what they did with it. It really is. And the whole movie, you know, it has some really good cinematic qualities to it, so for movie buffs, this is a good one. You know, here we are 6-7 years later, and no one's talking about it. But it's currently available on Netflix, so give it a shot. Go fight! This next one, this is the first one that actually got me, and that's Clint Eastwood's Million Dollar Baby. Now, this one, I didn't know that much about it before I saw it. I saw it fairly early before it kind of became like parodied as much as it did. But I was surprised by where this one went. I don't want to say too much. If you somehow like have gotten to 2017 and you don't know what happens in Million Dollar Baby, but it is a boxing movie. So first and foremost, if you're hyped about boxing at all, this is a good one. It sort of falls. It ultimately is not about boxing. That's not really what the story's about. So it doesn't really end up on like best boxing movies lists or anything like that. But it's damn close. I mean, it's got some good elements. Morgan Freeman, I think, has one of his best roles in this in really a long time. It's Morgan Freeman and Clint Eastwood kind of joining back up after Unforgiven. So that's cool if you're a big fan of Unforgiven, which I'm a huge fan of that movie. Again, I don't want to give too much away, but this one got me. There's some stuff in this movie that got me, and particularly just the way it ends, it's rough. So, speaking of rough, nose is starting to run, eyes are starting to swell up. They're starting to get me though. All right, number 2. This, I am not a big one for, I like documentaries, but I am not a big one for watching documentaries more than once. I've watched this at least twice, maybe 3 times. This is possibly the best recommendation on the list because there's a good chance you've not seen it. If you've seen Dear Zachary, let me know in the comments. I'm real curious to see how many of you have actually seen this movie. It's been on Netflix really since Netflix started streaming. I will give away some stuff about this because I want you to watch it. A guy was documenting a friend of his who has a crazy girlfriend and like an older woman. They have a child. And then there's some very horrible things that become of the entire family as a result of this crazy person that he's involved in a relationship in. It sounds just like soap opera drama, but it is real life drama. If you have a rough time, which I think most people do, if you have a rough time with anything involving children, this one may not be doable for you. I saw this twice before I became a father. I don't know that I could handle it today. It's a guaranteed tearjerker. If this one just doesn't get you somehow, if you just don't feel your heartstrings being tugged at in this one, you need to see somebody. Now, the onions have started to kind of work on me, so yeah, they get me. So, I want to talk about Forrest Gump. Now, don't laugh. I guess you can laugh. I can't hear you. But this movie has a lot of moments in it. A lot of tearjerker moments in it. It's got a lot of levity. It's got a lot of fun in it, obviously. But, there's obviously... And by the way, statute of limitations is up on Forrest Gump. If you haven't seen it yet, stop watching this video because I'm getting ready to spoil almost everything in the movie. But you've got when Bubba dies. Not necessarily the part that gets me. There's really just one part in this movie that gets me. But you got the part when Bubba dies. You've got the stuff with his mother. You've got Lieutenant Dan's struggle with his legs after the... I mean, there's a lot of drama in this movie. It's all very good. It's really one of the best movies of all time. Not necessarily my favorite, but it really is one of the best of all time. It really kind of captures that the second half of the 20th century, so it's really just sort of amazing for that. But there's all the drama with Jenny the whole way through. It's just always, every time he does something in his life, it circles back around to Jenny in some form or fashion. And then the film ends. It ends with them getting married and her like immediately dying. So that's not the worst part. The part is, it's what's playing behind me here, and it's that scene where he's talking at her grave, which is sad enough, but as soon as he mentions his son, and his son has the note for her, that's the whole, basically the whole movie sort of builds up to that.
We fish a lot. And every night we read a book. She's so smart, Jenny. He wrote you a letter. And he says, I can't read it. I'm not supposed to, so I just leave it here for you.
That that moment is probably the biggest tearjerker moment. If not in movie history, it's certainly the biggest one that's on Netflix right now. These onions have really got me going. I'm going to try to go make some soup or some dip or something with this. I've shared 5 movies with you here today that you can go watch on Netflix right now. Aside from what's on Netflix, let me know in the comments which your favorite tearjerker or maybe worst tearjerker, depending on how you look at it, movie is. I'd be real curious to see kind of which one really got you. But likes, subscribes, always appreciated. And until next time, thanks for watching.